Hey, got something to say. Got an announcement. It's episode 34 of For Our Edification. All right, thank you so much for downloading this episode of For Our Edification, your dose of personal leadership goodness. I'm Eddie Francis, and you can get past episodes of For Our Edification at eddiefrancis.com. You can also go to YouTube, and then you can get For Our Edification mostly where you get your podcasts. So you can get it on Apple, Google, you can get it at iHeartRadio, Spotify, a lot of different places. Just make sure you go to eddiefrancis.com to check out where you can get your episode of For Our Edification. So I have an announcement. It's special. That's why I'm doing a whole podcast on it. I'll tell you in a minute. The views and opinions expressed on For Our Edification do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the hosts, guests, or any entities with which we are affiliated. So back in April, I left my most recent full-time gig. It was one that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the work a whole lot, but it became readily apparent to me that it was time for that part of my career to end. Didn't end the way I wanted it to, but that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. And so I'm having this conversation with Halima. And one of the things that Halima asked me was, what do you really want to do? I mean, is this it? Is this the thing? Because it just seems like you like it, but you don't necessarily love it. Is this it? And I thought about it, and I was like, well, yeah, this is what I want to do. And Halima knows me, so she kind of pressed me a little bit, and she said, I don't necessarily know that you're doing what really makes you happy. You just seem to be chasing something. And so all that to say that what she was really asking me is, what do I dream about? And am I really living a dream? And the answer was no. I was not. I was not really 100% there with what I was doing. Although I do have to say, I have said so many times on podcasts and in blogs that I absolutely love higher ed, marketing and communications, specifically at HBCUs. And that is the truth. I do love it. But I'm a speaker. I am a speaker. Since I have been a teenager, I have absolutely loved speaking. I got the chance to speak professionally full time for 7 years, and it was the most magical part of my career so far. Shouts out to my good friend, my fellow Purple Knight, my frat brother, Rory Verrett, who I had a conversation with one day, and he asked me, when you think back on your career, when were you happiest? Game-changing question. Game-changing question. And it was those 7 years that I spent as a full-time speaker. And I just remember why I was so happy doing it. It wasn't just the speaking, man. It was the people I was surrounded by, the company I was working for at the time had this really colorful presence. I mean, literally and metaphorically. And I really wanted to bring that back into my life because that's when I was at my best. So I decided that I would make an investment. And I'm going to tell you about this investment in just a little bit. And no, I'm not pitching you the investment. Or I guess so rest easy on that. Not rest. No, it's not Forex. So no, it's not that. So what I did is I started going through this program, right? And one of the first questions that they asked in this program of the students is, what problems can you solve by doing this speaking business of yours? And that question was such a game changer. It was such a game changer for me. So I started thinking about what problems do I solve? So in my speaking, I'm like, there are a couple of problems I think I can solve. Number one, I have this master's degree in strategic leadership. Okay, now, if you've never heard me say this again, if you've never heard me say this before, I'm going to say it. I loved the master's degree program that I did in strategic leadership at Tennessee State University. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I learned so much about leadership. And there were things that I learned in that program about leadership studies and scholarship. And one of the questions I started asking myself is, who's telling other people about this stuff? So I decided that one of the things in my speaking that I would do is I would actually take some of this information that I learned in this program, really practical information. All right. And no, this is not some stuff that's just theoretical. And, yeah, if the world worked this way, then, no. This is real practical stuff I'm talking about that people can use immediately to improve what they do at their jobs, or they can improve what they do as community leaders. I wanted to be able to share that information. And the group that I absolutely wanted to share it with the most, college students. I love college students. I love higher ed. I think higher ed is a fantastic environment, right? And so that's one thing. One problem I wanted to solve is I wanted to be able to go to college students and say, okay, listen, this is how this leadership thing actually works. Not just me talking about from my experience. I'm talking about also theory. And the theory actually is real. So the second thing is I was a recruiter. I wanted to be one of the people going around to college students saying, okay, listen, I want to tell you how to get ready to excel in your career from my view as a recruiter who got to tell people yes and no. No, we're not going to move you on to an interview. Yes, we are going to move you on to an interview because you had a great resume and we had a great screen call. Okay, cool. So that's another problem. So there were these two things that were just constantly on my mind that I knew that as a speaker, I could help solve these problems with college students. Okay, so what I decided to do is I decided to get with this program called the Speaker Lab. It was a huge investment. Now, let me tell you something about me. I am, when it comes to finances, I am risk averse. Okay. So this program that I'm talking about is not exactly a cheap program. It is an investment. And I'll never forget when I went to Halim and said, okay, I'm thinking about making this investment. I'll let you know the numbers. And then I found out the numbers, went back to her and I said, okay, here's the numbers. I think I want to make the investment. I can, so I think I'll do it. And she didn't think I was going to do it, and I did it. And the night I did it, I said, okay, I agreed to do this program. The number's a little bigger than I thought it would be, and I did it. And I kid you not, man, my hands were shaking. Like I was sitting there, sitting in front of her, my hands were shaking because I had never taken this big a risk before. Never, ever, right? And well, that's not true. I own a house anyway. So I'm sitting here going, I, I did this thing, and Halima being the fantastic person that she is, the huge supporter that she is, she said, I didn't think you were going to do it, and I'm very proud of you. So I went through the program, and I'm starting to see the results. The investment is starting to pay off. Happy to say. And don't worry, I'm getting to this announcement. I'm so sorry that it's taking me so long, but I need to set the stage for you, right? By the way, you're listening to For Our Edification. I'm Eddie Francis. So then, one of the results of this investment is that I approached Greek University, which is a speaker bureau, a college speaker bureau. And I approached them and I did something I have never done before. I asked, how do I be a part of this? Usually I have not done that. I'm not going to say I've never done this before, but that's not usually my approach. Usually my approach is, well, if it works, it works. If they like me, fine, cool. And I flat out asked Mike Ayalon, how do I do this? Now I'm Greek, so I had to, I had to say something ignorant, right? So, so when I emailed Mike, I emailed him, yo man, what kind of process do I have to go through in order to be inducted into Greek University? And he thought that was a pretty funny way to ask. And I am blessed that he and the other speakers saw fit to accept me into that family. So there was something else on my mind in all of this. The other thing that was on my mind is that I wanted to stay attached to higher ed marketing and communication somehow, because I truly do love the work there. When I was at Dillard, the best time I had at Dillard was a brand refresh that we did called Write Your Legacy. And to be able to work with the good folks at Ology, a branding agency out of Columbus, Ohio, it was a great feeling to work with them and to watch this thing come to life, right? And I wanted to keep that feeling of being able to work with colleges and universities, a space that I love, and being able to continue to do marketing with them. And so I decided that I would create a company. So the announcement is that I have founded a company called Edify Ventures LLC. And Edify is a brand strategy and experiences company. That's what I call it. On the brand strategy side, there is group branding. And so one of the ways that I want to stay attached to colleges and universities is I want to work with colleges and universities on employer branding. I want to work with them on how they can recruit better talent or great talent and retain great talent and provide a valuable experience to the people who work with them, the faculty and the staff. I know that I can walk into any institution in this country, sit down with the folks from HR and marketing and say, listen, this is how you can really make this a valuable experience for the people who work there. And if you do that, you will have another army of brand ambassadors who are going to go out and they're going to encourage even more talented people to work here, your next generation of talented people. And if you can get great talent working on this campus, guess what follows that? Enrollment, donations, alumni engagement. Because who doesn't like to look at a company or an institution or an organization and see the people love working there? Great example of this. One of the greatest examples of this is Southwest Airlines, right? No, I don't have a sponsorship with Southwest, but Southwest, if you're listening, I'm down. I am brand loyal to Southwest. And one of the reasons I'm brand loyal to Southwest is I actually love the energy that historically has come from their employees. And I think it's kind of changed a little bit over time, but it is still energy that I appreciate, still energy that I like, right? And so, yeah, Southwest for me is at a good price point when it comes to my air travel. But even more than that, is some of the quirky, wacky humor of the flight attendants, the way that a lot of folks from Southwest handle customer service issues a lot of times, or even what the company itself will do with customer service. Now, listen, before you start bringing up all kinds of issues, I know it's not perfect. I know there have been some slips and all that other kinds of. I'm talking about overall in the grand scheme of things. And I think that's a big point that I want to share with colleges and universities. You're not going to get it right all the time. It's not going to be perfect all the time. No, you don't necessarily pay your faculty and staff what they should be paid, right? But you can make this a fulfilling experience with them. And if I can go to colleges and universities and consult with them and share that perspective with them and work with them on how they can do it, how they can present more valuable in a work experience, then I think I can help them solve some major, major issues, especially when it comes to things like enrollment and donations. So yes, that is a big part of the business of Edify Ventures. Then there's the personal branding part of Edify Ventures. One of the things from my talent acquisition days that I still love to do is resume design. I actually just put out a call to folks saying, hey, listen, if you know anybody who needs resume design help, send them my way. Okay. I used to be a recruiter. I know what I used to say yes to and what I used to say no to, and I can help people do this. I can help them talk about their personal brands on their resumes. Resumes are actually one of the best ways to actually show your personal brand. And then also, when it comes to personal branding, another great way to express a personal brand is public speaking. So public speaking coaching, I can do it virtually. I do it in person, but I absolutely love listening to people's voices come alive, both figuratively and literally. I love being able to do that. So shout out. I'm going to make one more shout out to the Small Business Development Center at Southeastern Louisiana University through the Small Business Administration. That's how I found them. I live in the area, so that's how I was able to get to SLU. So to my people over there who helped me, pull it together. They talked me through creating this business and giving me these reasons to really do this thing. I appreciate you so much. So that is the thing. And so I know you're sitting there going, you mean, Eddie, I've been listening to you all this time, and that's the announcement that you formed business. So what? Well, the reason it's important to me is, well, one day last week, I was actually sitting there going, man, I need to get out there and tell more people about what I'm doing because I need clients and I need money. So yeah, so how am I going to do that? And one way I've done it is social media, duh. But then it occurred to me, fool, you got a podcast. So why don't you just do an episode of your podcast when you tell people that you formed this business and you tell them what the business is about? So there you have it. That's exactly what I have done. So if you have any questions about Edify Ventures, just reach out to me. Go to edifyventuresnola.com, edifyventuresnola.com. All the information is in the show notes. And I want to thank you so much. If you have supported For Our Edification, the podcast, thank you so much for being such a great supporter of For Our Edification. Listen, go to the past episodes of For Our Edification at eddiefrancis.com. You can also go to YouTube for some of the past episodes, and of course, wherever you get your podcast. And I only ask that you do three things. First of all, download the episodes, and then also give me feedback about the episodes and share the episodes. All right. And use the hashtag For Our Edification, wherever we are talking about it on social media, whether it's on Facebook or Xbird, also known as X, also known as Twitter, or the form of the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. I don't know what the hell to call it. Also on LinkedIn, which is where I'm very, very active. You can have some conversations with me there as well. So there you go. There you go. And so thank you so much for the support. And everybody who has said to me, congratulations, and Eddie, do it. You are solid gold to me, and I really, really do appreciate you. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Our Edification, especially for the lovely Dr. Halim Malik Francis. All right. See you next time.